Well, hello everybody and welcome to Coffee Chat. Okay guys, we are inside. We are staying out of this bitter cold and we are trying to stay warm. It is crazy today.
It is. So, when I got here this morning, so what was funny today is it's cold, but it actually, so yesterday at like 9 o'clock, it was in the 60s.
It was hot. I felt hot yesterday.
Well, like Charles and my boys were in shorts as we were prepping everything around our house. And then at like 5 o'clock this morning, I got up and it was still like 36, 38.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden at like 6 a.m., it got cold.
So
it started like sleet, and then we even got a little bit of flurries, which was really kind of cool. And then it got so cold after the sun came up, which was weird.
I know. As the sun was coming up, the temperature was coming down, and everything kind of started getting crazy. I started seeing people's feeds on Facebook, like local people with flurries, like white little hazes in their yard. Like, we don't see this.
Yeah.
But our topic today is literally dealing with your dogs in the cold. And you had the funniest phone call, didn't you?
I did. I was on the phone with a client who was telling me about how they're in like the negative teens. And I said, you know, that's really cold. I would die there. Like, I would not be able to function.
No, we couldn't function.
And I live in Alabama for a reason. And then we were texting about the topic today. And I said, we're going to talk about cold weather today. And he went, I would not think that you guys are the experts on that.
We are not the experts because all of our dogs live in the sunny South, and our dogs are used to the southern temperature and all of the joys that come. The heat, they're really good. They understand the heat. What you guys in the north probably cannot tolerate our humidity and our heat. But we literally cannot tolerate that.
So
it is terrible.
For our dogs here, heat is definitely something we have to take more precautions with. We're used to it, but we have to take more precautions because it gets hotter than what we have to take with the cold, but it doesn't mean we don't take precautions with the cold. So funny story about me today. So after I got here at work, the gate was frozen closed for me to even get in, where it was sleet and the ice had frozen, because by the time it was like 6:30, 7 o'clock, it was in the 20s.
It was misting, so it got a little...
So, and y'all, I'm kind of windblown because I walk through, go check on everybody and everything. When I went to go out the back door, the wind caught the door and pulled it open. Well, under normal circumstances, I'd just plant my feet and hold the door. Yeah. Did not work with ice on the stoop.
Oh my God, did you fall?
I didn't fall, but I went for a great ride. So I held onto the door, the wind flew it open, and I just slid right with the door all the way around.
When Judge left this morning, he came back in and he said, hey, you be careful walking outside, the concrete slippery. And that it's kind of like icy, and I'm like, oh gosh. So I text my mom and them and said, be careful, because my parents are in their 80s. I didn't want them to slip.
Well, everybody always makes fun of us down here because like our schools are closed today, and our schools will be closed tomorrow till midday. But it's because none of us are equipped for driving on the ice. We're just not used to it. So, and we don't have any ways of clearing it up.
Well, how do our doodles transition to the north? You guys could send us pictures. We would love to see that.
Jeffrey says, hey, please send your version of the cold to Chicago. The feeling temp has been minus 30 degrees. Chicago's where the client I was talking to lived as well, and that was kind of his comment.
Minus 30 degrees? You can't survive in that. How are you surviving? Okay. How is your baby doing? Because I have seen all of her gorgeous pictures, and she looks like she's just loving the snow. I mean, the dogs adapt.
Yeah, and like I said, they really have a harder time in the heat than they do with the cold. Like our dogs today were loving it. I mean, bouncing, playful,
they're
happy.
They're just kicking it up and romping, and they love it.
Yes.
And it's not so bad right now, but it's going to get worse tonight. So we are winterizing everything. We're every dog yard where dogs, they have to get out. They have to go potty. They have to get out. So we literally have turned it into like a greenhouse.
All their play yards are greenhouses.
It's like all the, we've got all the like Visqueen all around everything, and they're just out loving it.
It's like those like restaurant outdoor patio areas like that you see in New York and other cities, where it's like all the plastic around it, and then you've got the heaters up that basically turn it into a great big greenhouse out there.
That's what our potty yards look like, but hey, so we got it covered. And all of even our wild cats that kind of roam around, we're like trying to kind of get them up and get them in the barn and stuff. We're like, you got to come in. They're like, no, we don't do this. We live out here. We're wildcats.
So Jackie says, hot cocoa weather. And so Angie actually had a hot cocoa station today for all of our staff because it is hot cocoa weather. And Jane says that she is keeping warm here in Indiana at 8 degrees.
I love it. Love it. Well, let's talk about transitioning. Let's talk about things that we can do to ensure that our dogs are safe in the north. We just want to know. So what we want to do is we want to make sure that we prevent frostbite in dogs. We have never had that here. I have never had a dog get frostbite in Alabama. I know, but we want to talk about, I mean, you know, they love to go outside, but I mean, every dog's got their own personality, right? I mean, and some are going to love it more than others. But you definitely just need to kind of take into consideration what kind of coat they have. Now, I've heard there's theories that dark dogs, because like dark hair, black hair, actually heat is drawn to it, whereas lighter coats reflect the heat. And so they were saying, so dark dogs could have a little bit warmer coat than lighter coats. I have never heard that. Is that a thing in the north? I mean, we wouldn't deal with it down here.
I don't know that one way or the other, but just using my brain, I would think that if there's sunshine, if like I used to have dark hair, I would be warmer because it would draw to my dark hair because the sun absorbs that. But if it's dark out, I don't think you're going to be any warmer no matter what color your hair is.
Yeah, it doesn't matter after the sun goes down, right? But the thing is, I mean, I do think our black dogs are hotter in the summer outside.
They are. So I would think as long as there's sunshine, the dark coat is going to absorb that heat and draw it a little bit more, whereas the white coat's going to reflect it. So I would think any dark color like chocolate or a deep red, but I think more of it's going to have to do with the density of the coat.
Yeah, every dog has a different coat. Now, like golden retrievers, they have that thick undercoat, and so they really have a bulky, big coat. Our retrievers are loving the cold. Our Great Pyrenees are the same thing. They're loving it. But let's say they had just gotten a haircut or they've been shaved because matting happened. That's where you're going to have a problem. You just got to really pay attention to the coat type.
Absolutely. And the amount of insulation that they have with it. And even with doodles, it's not even about the length of the coat. So what I always talk to people about is the density of that hair coat. So if you think about like a square inch, how many hairs fit into that? Some of them have a looser coat that lays a little more flat, a little more silky coat. And even if it's long, it's not providing that thick layer of insulation.
That's true. And of course, shelter. I mean, just like we were talking about for our dogs going outside, I mean, they have to go outside. The dogs have got to have exercise. They've got to get out and play. But you want to think about, you know, them getting outside. I mean, what is a safe temperature for a dog? I think once you start getting below freezing, it's a difference. But
I think again, it's about acclimating. So one of the things with our dogs is like, and we talked about this, I think last week or whatever we talked about it last, is our problem is we're in the 70s on one day and then the 20s the next day. So our dogs don't get a chance to acclimate. That's like our horses. That's a great example. So the horses outside will get a winter coat. But we've got to have a gradual dip in temperature for their body to put on a winter coat. So they have to we have to put a blanket on them because they don't have a winter coat.
You know what I can't fathom? I cannot understand how these huskies literally live in holes in the snow. When we went to Colorado and we went to the dog sledding ride, it was so much fun. But those dogs were loving their life. And they had little holes underneath the snow in all of their dog yards, and it was just icy, and they were fine.
A for real dogaloo.
Yeah, I know, it was.
So, and that's all about acclimation. So even like huskies here, they don't get a chance to acclimate. They don't get that denser coat. They don't get all that stuff. So it is all about acclimating.
I mean, I wonder if it's just their coat that's like protecting them. I guess so. And then their paw pads. I mean, you've got to take care of their paw pads. Paw protection is a big deal. But you think about those dogs that are just like running in the snow all the time.
They wear boots too, though.
They do wear boots?
They do wear boots.
A lot of them do.
That's actually, Jeffrey commented that she loves the snow. She's not a vocal girl, but she whined for the first time after standing to go potty, so he picked her up and carried her in. But she's tough, and today her pooch parka and boots arrived.
I love that. That's exactly what we were going to talk about. Use your dog coats and sweaters. Yep. This is the time for your doodle fashion to come out. All your doodles need to be rocking their vest and scarves. I love that.
Karis loves hers. She wears coats and jackets and hoodies and all of that all of the time. She absolutely wears it. And Jane answered about the dog hair. She said it was 1 degree yesterday and her dark hair did not help her at all.
Well, there you go. So see, we learned something.
So Jeff's also asking about what do we think about paw wax, like Musher's Secret and whatnot. So anything that is going to protect the paw pads is good. But one of the things you guys have to be really careful about with regard to the paws is the chemicals that are put out to get rid of the ice. So here, we don't have the infrastructure for stuff like that. They don't spread salt and they don't do any of the chemicals on our roads or sidewalks just because they don't invest in that or any of the machines. But up north, there's a lot of stuff that's put out to melt the ice or keep the snow from sticking in certain areas. And so when you take your dogs for walks, those chemicals will get on their feet and can cause burns and whatnot. So boots and wax does help to protect them.
Hey, it makes me want to think about like the girl dogs, especially puppies, when they go TT and squatting like that. If they're low to the ground, you might need to pay attention to UTIs, because if that chemical stuff's out there and they go potty, it might. That's how female dogs get more UTIs than boys,
So a cool trick a client in the past taught us is in their yard or wherever they go potty, they actually put down like a tarp or a piece of board, and it'll snow over the top of the board, but they have a handle on it. So all they do is they walk outside, they lift up the handle, and then they've got grass underneath it that their dog goes potty on, and then they just lower the board back down.
Oh, that's cool. See, we would never think about that, but
I
that's
wouldn't,
a good
but
idea.
It was a great idea. They said that they did it in their yard because their dog was coming from Alabama up there, and so they just literally just created a little spot, pull up the board, and now they still got grass.
Wow. Now, my question is, frostbite. Okay, a husky doesn't get frostbite, but what kind of dog does? I mean, dogs can get frostbite. It's typically like on their tips of their ears or on their feet or maybe on their tail, places like that. But I've never seen frostbite in a dog. Have any of y'all that live up north ever heard of one of your pets or animals getting frostbite? I mean, maybe it's a dog that just got lost in the snow or in the woods.
Well, I think it's still I think even like huskies and them, even down here, if they're not acclimated, they can still get it. And so I'm gonna be honest with you, I haven't seen it or dealt with it with dogs, but it is something that actually, believe it or not, in some of the wild animals and in some of the livestock, like chickens, you can sometimes see. Because when they're on their perch, their toes are exposed. And so they tell you to get more of a flat perch so their feathers will cover it. But there's some rules of thumb about you've got to warm slowly. And if they've got frostbite, it's just going to turn dark. But the biggest thing is if you think your dog has frostbite anywhere, get them to the vet to be checked out. But don't try to do a fast warming because that can actually do more damage.
Warm water, like just a little bit to just kind of warm it, but not hot. Don't throw them in a hot tub or something.
Yeah, you don't need to change that temperature that fast. It's got to be like slow. A slow, bring it back up.
Yeah, but I've never seen that. I was actually Googling it earlier today just to see what it looked like. I mean, and it was, mainly on their paws, and dogs were kind of limping, and you were kind of wanting to check that out. But yeah, that's a vet thing.
Yes.
Don't call us about that because we don't know.
We don't know. Like I said,
we are not the experts. We're here for you for most everything except for frostbite.
So what I say is on stuff like that, we're here to give you a Smeraglia hug and then tell you to update us after you talk to your vet because we are not the experts on frostbite.
Yeah. So avoiding ice. I mean, I would avoid ice, especially on those ponds and things that are like you could fall in. That is so scary to me. The thought of thin ice and falling through. No.
So I'm so afraid of heights, you wouldn't catch me on anything like that anyway. So Patty actually said that Patty Stanley, Musher's Secret is the bomb. Have used it for 12 years when we traveled to the snow. So great recommendation. And Jane said they purchased a tray with artificial graft for Tilly so that she could go potty on it. Yep.
Oh, wow. That is really great.
Oh, and Jackie said snow clumps, like I guess little tiny mini snowballs will actually get stuck in between their toes when they're walking. And so it will also make them cry.
Right. I mean, and that is just interesting. And you need to really keep them dry because you don't want them staying moist. I mean, when they go out,
That's
you
where
got to
you
dry
get
them
yeast
off,
and fungus
then you
and-
get it in the ears and in between their toes, and you'll start seeing them pawing and gnawing and biting at their feet. So you got to pay attention to all that stuff. And really, you've got to also pay attention to hydration because their water might be frozen, and you've got to make sure that there is water available, which most of your dogs are drinking inside, but you got to maintain their healthy diet through this.
So I don't know how it is everywhere, but here, one of the things that I notice is because we're running heaters and because it's not as rainy right now, so our humidity is very different right now. Like our dogs require more water because there's not as much moisture in the air, and even like my plants require to be watered a lot more often. So do pay attention to that because as you're running heaters and whatnot, their just needs for hydration is going to be different.
And also their calorie intake might need to be increased. You northern doodles might need to be feeding your dogs a little bit more right now because they might need it. Actually, in this cold, I think we're all eating more. We're like trying not to eat because it's January and we're all like, going into this healthy mode. And then it's like you're freezing and you just kind of want to, I don't know if it's me, but I'm like, I am hungry. I'm going inside.
So we have certain things that we do, like chicken and noodles, red beans and rice, chili, these big things you make a ton of all at one time. So yes, I'm with you. So rule of thumb for you guys is your dogs are going to typically be pretty good about dictating their own caloric intake, but if nobody has ever taught y'all the trick, so here's the trick, watch body condition.
Right.
If you make a fist, rub your fingers here. If that's what your dog's ribs feel like, that is too thin. If you do this, rub in the same spot, that's ideal body condition. At ribs, you feel that little bit of slip, but you can still feel the ribs easily. If you rub here, you feel that fat pad, that's a little too fat, too heavy. So watch body condition.
That feels healthy right there. That feels healthy. That's where mine are. And then you feel your upper thigh right here. That's where London is.
London is...
London a little chubby.
London has additional insulation for the winter time.
Yeah, she could hibernate for a couple months and be just fine.
I don't blame her, though.
Yeah, but you do, definitely. You got to realize, that they're going to have their energy up and they're going to have to be able to get out and tolerate it. But just like all people and animals, every dog has their own personality, like Jeffrey's saying. Some dogs are going to love it, and some are just going to. London, I'm going to tell you, she would turn her nose up to it. Just like the rain, anything that's abnormal, London is not having it.
So Karis is the same way. And Karis last night actually this morning as it started to get really, really cold, laid on her dog bed in front of our fireplace and kept looking at the fireplace and then looking back at Charles.
Like, turn it on.
And then looking at the fireplace like, it should be warmer in here.
Oh my gosh. Well, this morning when I let London out, I waited until it was closer to 11 o'clock. She wasn't going out. She walked out and went. She just kind of looked up like,
what?
This is a new world I'm in.
Yes, it was like dramatic.
Her eyes, if I could read her mind, she was like, what is going on? She did her TT and she went right back in.
I don't blame her.
Nothing else.
I do
Nothing
not
else
blame her.
right now. I can't stay out here. But Fletcher, on the other hand, he's loving it. It doesn't even bother him. But he's got a great big old coat. And he goes, his energy, he'll burn that. He won't even notice it.
I know. That's how Tux is. He doesn't care. He's going to run and
Londa's
run.
a little lazy. She's, where she's a couch potato. Somebody was putting underneath my post today on Facebook when I kind of wrote out the blog about this weather and everything. Somebody posted, my dog is just like a pillow potato. And I said, mine too. Here's mine. So that's all London's going to know. But she also, we have a little box heater in the bathroom because our bathroom's on the north end of the house.
Oh.
And then we have the concrete, the brick, floors. And it just always stays really cold. So we turn on one of those little heaters. She's laying right in front of it, just like the fireplace. She's on a pad.
That is her spot.
Yeah,
Don't
that's
blame
what
her.
she wants. So, But anyway, guys, you stay safe, stay warm, bundle up out there. Are there any other comments?
So just a couple comments about, hey, use the hairdryer by the front door. Mary said that she always has a hairdryer by the front door, so when her dog comes in, she can make sure he is dry.
Great tips, y'all. I love that.
And Jeffrey is saying, hey, those extra pounds on London is just proof that she's living her best life.
She is living the best life. You are absolutely right. And looking at her dog food bowl, when it's just got kibbles in it, she looks at me like, ma'am, this is not okay. And then we cannot have a bite of anything without her staring. So the girl doesn't miss a meal or a snack or a bite. That's got it going on.
She has earned it.
But anyway, our little southern doodles are going to do just fine up north. But you got to realize that they will keep you warm no matter where they are. And the warmth in their heart is constant. You know what I mean? They are always there to snuggle and cuddle and be your best friends. And so, hey, this is a wonderful time to have one.
Oh, got another great tip. Jeffrey says a kitchen whisk helps to get those snowballs off of the coat.
You know what? I saw that on like Instagram or something. Somebody was showing me that. Okay, what else? Anything else we got to share?
That looks like it right now, but y'all keep commenting, because as people come in and watch this later on, they can get those comments, because apparently we may not be the experts, but you guys are.
Yeah, you are. And I want you to go to Facebook, to the blog that I wrote today about all this, and go underneath it and put the pictures of your dogs. Like, I want to see all the snow pictures, all the snow bunnies, the snow doodles, okay? So put them on there, and then we will save them and we'll share them over on our social media, maybe on Instagram, on our stories and things. So send us the cutest snow doodles that you have, okay? All right, you guys have a wonderful day. Stay warm, stay dry, enjoy your hot cocoa or coffee, and we will see you back in a little while. I think we've got a little bit of more cuteness coming your way. All right,
Never-ending cuteness around here.
Always. Bye.
Bye-bye.